Hi, it's Wasabi. Welcome back to the channel. It's a battle on the Glacier map, and we've got Gardyy from Vidi Clan. He's in the Tier 9 German heavy tank from the tech tree, the E75 that leads to the E100 at Tier 10. It's probably one of the best Tier 9 heavy tanks in the game, depending on your biases. It's got very strong frontal armour, and we're going to see how well he utilises the combination of the gun and his armour. He's probably got the top gun in here, which would be a 12.8cm. I'll just confirm that. Yeah, it's 128mm, but yeah, the Germans used to measure that in centimetres. So standard round, just try and get back to that. Average damage 530, nice punchy damage there, and penetration 246 in the standard round and 311 in the premium round, and average shell velocity 1150 meters per second for the APC round. So it's pushing up to this line. This is the standard positioning for heavy tanks on this map, fairly standard, and he's just spotted on 110 crossing. Unfortunately didn't get to take the shot there. He was lit there, but this is one of the weaknesses of this area, that the enemy can basically get to firing positions at different angles, so you just have to be careful how far you push. Now he's found enemy E75 there, but he managed to bounce that shot. And he's just falling back a little now. He doesn't need two tanks poking on him. That shot from the 110 went into his tracks. He's just trying to find a spot where he can basically cover up his low front plate, and he's angling. Now I just want to make a point about angling here. Comparison to, let me just zoom out from his mode. Look at that angling, that is almost perfect. Showing enough of his side to try and tempt the shot. His front corner of, or his gun is going over pretty close to the front corner of the tank, and now as he comes out there, he's doing the same thing from the other side, so where that 50 TP was. And as he turns, the other one comes in, he can choose to keep his front straight on or angled. He'll either lead the shot with his tracks, exactly like what happened with the E75 there. He could eat shots in his tracks all day long, pretty much. The other aspect of the E75, the front of the turret is extremely hard, and will bounce a lot of shots, and he just bounced there the 50 TP, but he chooses to shoot the 5100 at the back. Dangerous tank with its clip, and he's just been joined by an ISM who is going to get in the way a little bit, but we'll see. I think he'll let him take the lead for the moment, just see if he can do anything constructive and take shots at the E75 on the other side, which he manages to do quite successfully. It brings him up to 2.2k of damage, and he's blocked almost the same amount. And he takes a quick look over his shoulder to see whether tanks in the centre are going to threaten his rear. Good awareness there. So a good tip for newer players is to make sure that you check all the angles as you're sitting in a particular position, to make sure that you don't get blindsided. 50 TP wants to poke around the corner, but he's being careful, and that's understandable. Poking a bit further could bring him into range of tank destroyers on the back line, although in this case there really isn't anyone in a position that will take advantage of that. That Borsig, as you can see on the mini-map, really has got too many obstacles between him and where those heavy tanks are. So again, just checking the centre of the map, making sure he's covered. He has actually got a nice big rock behind him, so that's good there. Gets spotted there. Is that someone that came over the top? Probably. That. No, those LC is a bit too far away, but something lit him up, which he hasn't seen, so that's a bit of a concern, but unless he's in a fairly protected position, certainly well protected from arty in that location. It's one of the problems on this map, dealing with artillery, and he just wants them to push, and if not, he's going to go and have to take some ownership of this himself. Team is down 2 tanks and about 1,000 hit points in difference between the two teams, so not significant, not at this stage of the game anyway. And he's just taking over that ISM. The ISM wasn't doing anything there. He's just pulling back, trying to get a better angle without exposing too much of his tank. Draws the 50 TP out puts a nice big hit in him, the 50 TP, and he hits his tracks. He must be feeling a bit frustrated by now. And you can see each shot doing 500. He needs to load here, it does, and he takes out the E75. He does take a hit from that, but that's seems to be a fair trade. And he can push in on this 50 TP. And he does take hits there from the Baraska and the Kunze-Panzer from the centre. That's what he was worried about before. But takes out the 50 TP, and the reason he was advancing there is basically to make sure that he got some terrain between him and those two tanks. Yeah, they're marching across the field now. Can he do something about it? Yes, he certainly can. Lines up the Kunze-Panzer, puts a nice big hit in. And he's down to 472, so he's risking it a little bit now. Just repairs his damage and his cruise. So he's got both kits on cooldown now. There's that Barask that tagged him running away. Can he get a shot into him? He does do. Gets his revenge, takes the Barask out. It takes him to 4k of damage. He's got a mission running. Well, I think he's already achieved this mission. That's Heavy Tank 5, so he's just looking to improve it. Oh no, maybe he's actually active things. Okay, so he's done his damage target of 4,000. Surprised, I thought gardyy had this already. This is for the Object 260, and he just needs to kill 5 enemy vehicles to succeed. ISM gets taken out, 5100 gets taken out at the same time by the Borsig. He's looking for a shot on here on this Progetto. Puts a blind shot in, doesn't get the kill which he would have hoped, but the Progetto goes down. Might have got some damage out of that, but he's 4k of damage now. Very little bit of assisted damage. He's in a fairly precarious position health-wise, given there's an Object 263 at the back there. But it's time to push. There's only the tank destroyer and an artillery left on the enemy side. This is a probably played on the ANZ server, and it is not a full 15v15 game, so there's not many hit points left there. But can he get 2 more kills? We will have to see. Now the Braska's pushing forward there. Alright, it's Tree Hugger from one of the NZ clans. Very familiar with Tree Hugger. And he gets lit by probably the Object. Gets hit by Artie at the same time, takes him down to 117 hit points, and he really needs to get under the gun of that 263 before he becomes another target. But certainly he's been lit, and we're waiting for the other tanks to come up and support. Now, unfortunately, Treehugger got taken out by the Object, and he's got a Samoa SM coming up to help. It looks like the 263 is pushing in, and that's not a good position to be in. Bounces the shot from the Object, but he doesn't get penetration either, and he's just reversing. Unfortunately, the reverse speed on the E75 is not good, and Object 263, he needs Artie to play a point here. Gets a nice shot in the lower plate, eats another shot with his tracks, but I think the Object will reload before he does. He pulls back to line him up. Can he get another shot in? He does. Well, that's pretty lucky, but no, he loses his tank there. That's unfortunate. It does take him over to 5k damage, but he doesn't get his extra kills, so unfortunately won't complete the mission. Certainly won't get the honours, I should say. He does get the mission. The Samoa SM basically needs to keep that Object lit. And there's a nice U152 in the background, which I hadn't noticed before, so he's got some support here, so he's going to have to come up here very carefully. Really wants to light the target for the Artie. The question is the Artie doing anything? It is the Artie on their team. There's the Object again, coming up here, pushing on the Samoa. Samoa's a bit more agile than the E75, not a whole lot. It's a heavy tank as well, but he can get some terrain between him and the Object. And they're just checking out the Su-14 just to see whether he's actually awake. Certainly a concern if you've got AFK people in the game. There's the Object again pushing in. Samoa gets a nice shot in, and the ISU 152 takes him out. So now it's only remaining the arty. So that is a great relief, thanks. There's good team play there with the ISU pushing up. And the arty doesn't really look like he's doing anything, but I don't think he's AFK. I think see the gun moving a little bit. The Samoan can spot out the arty. It's probably up where the Object 263 was originally spotted, behind that hill. And Gardy's gone into a dynamic platoon with the Samoa, see if they can get the platoon achievements for Brothers in Arms or crucial contribution. And there's the arty. Samoa gets one shot in. Is he out of the thing? Out of bullets? Yes, it looks like he is. And the arty does actually take him out, so it's all working. And that is the battle. Let's have a look at the results. So that was a first class mastery badge there for Gardy. We'll have a look at how close he got to being an ace. He did get the high caliber award, doing 5.7k worth of damage for 771 of assisted damage there, and he blocked 4.6k of damage. So all round great effort there, 3 kills. He finished second. The Samoa finished on top, so shout out there to the Samoa as well. He played very well. He would have got an ace tank quite certainly, I would think. But 13-18 would normally get you a ace in that level, so must be a few good players playing that tank at the moment. But otherwise he placed well. Some other tanks on the other side, the Kunze Panzer on the other side, did finish with 4.6k, and he would be pretty disappointed with not winning. Gardy fired 15 shots, 13 of those hit and 12 of those penetrated, so that was all good shooting there. We talked about his damage totals, and he did trek right across the map, which is good for a heavy tank. He ended up with 21k of credits, so did make a profit in the end, which is good, but yeah, slightly disappointing, but I think he was very happy with the game